my desire to want to be clean and stay clean, because I would get clean. I would get clean for a period of time and just fall right back. And every single time I would get clean, I swear to God, to this day I can say this with all honesty, man, I told myself it would be the last time.
Carlos Vieira and the lovely Miss Aysia here as well. How are you folks today?
What's up, people? What's going on?
I am good.
And of course, Mikey, like we were talking about before concerning the Carlos Vieira's book, Knockin Doorz Down, that we were going to discuss with you. Here we want to pull out what is my favorite chapter, racing, and how it saved
cars,
your life.
race cars.
Oh, yeah.
Cars that go fast.
You ain't first, you're last.
That's how, that was our first conversation was about that. The first time I met you when I was still working in radio was about that.
What year was that?
Well, wait, hold on. My math's good. Carry the two. So I don't know. Was that 2017? Or not 2017, 2007, 2008, something like that?
Yeah, that'll be right there when I started racing. Yeah, 2007.
That's when I graduated high school.
I think it was 2000.
Shut up, man. Shut up.
Dick. I think it was 2008 because my son wasn't born yet when I first met you.
Right,
he was on the way. So that sounds about right. But
I had a year of racing underneath my belt. Yeah.
So anyway, let's jump into it, because the interesting thing that you highlight in your book and don't really dig into was people that get into auto racing. I was around it a lot. My dad did it, my brother, the whole thing. But that's not the case in your story at all. There was no history of auto racing. We're sweet potato farmers, and
first time I was in a race car was at the age of 35.
No shit. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, but we went racing when we were younger. Raced a little bit, right?
Sure.
On the streets of Livingston. But yeah, it was something I decided to do because I needed change. I needed a big change in my life, and 13 years of drug addiction. I was ready for something different, something that something out of the ordinary, something that I didn't try before. It was against what my family wanted me to do, or it's just something I needed to do.
Yeah. And
decided to just show up at a race at a place in Modesto, a race shop in Modesto, and asked the gentleman there how do I start racing, and he asked me what kind of racing. I said NASCAR, and here I am.
Now, were you a little kid that, most of us little boys and girls too, with the Hot Wheels and
posters,
racing car
I
posters?
had posters of race cars on my wall. So Porsches, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Vectors.
Yeah.
Porsche was the most realistic goal, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
So,
but you talk and highlight in the book, of course, coming from, a very hardworking family. When you were a little kid, the family was not well off. A.B. Thomas isn't what it is today then, But you, much like many of us, I remember working for our neighbors that had an apricot orchard every summer, and we would dry the apricots and the whole thing. So you started pretty early with the family and saving up the dough with something in mind.
So this would have been, I was 15 and a half years old. The company was small, just downtown Livingston. I'm not sure if you've been there before, Mikey, or not.
I've been by it, yeah.
Yeah, just a little tiny little place. So we were, it's all five of us. My brother, my sister, myself, and my parents were working there every day. Of course, we had, some workers as well. But we would go in there every day. And I moved to Livingston at the age of 5. And my dad said, if you ever want a car, you're going to have to save for it yourself. He believed in you have to work for what you want. And so, as soon as I can pick up a broom and start sweeping or stacking boxes, you ever see a sweet potato box, little 40-pound cartons, right?
Yeah.
I was there stacking them up, and no matter if I was sick or not, I remember many times my parents would take me to the packing shed sick, and just if I couldn't work, I would just be there sitting there, just because there was no money for babysitters. There was, this is how it was. So we started with nothing, and the company was still struggling or still growing at the time. But I saved at the age of 15 and a half, I had $8,500.
And what did we do with that $8,500?
Buy
I'm
myself
still
a car.
jealous of. It wasn't just a car.
So I searched for the oldest Porsche that I can find, or the least expensive or oldest, whatever. So it was a 1971 911T.
Yeah.
and T stands for touring, not turbo.
I would have guessed turbo. I don't know.
I could not afford a turbo back then. But
Straight
yeah,
six?
it was six carb. It's actually six back then. It was 6 carburetors. You know, it's a real neat setup.
Because it's kind of how the platform's based off the Volkswagen one, but that's how they make it more souped up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a driver, not a
I was gonna say
motorhead.
this shit is Greek to me. I don't know anything about cars. I don't know what you guys are talking
But
about.
I know it had 6 car. Like you can individually set each carburetor.
Sure.
There's 6 of them. Anyway, so yeah, I had $8,500. I searched around for the most least expensive Porsche I could find. I knew it was going to be what I wanted, right? I wanted something, a slant nose, flared fenders, big whale tail, something badass. But it was, it is what it is. It was an orange car. It was actually a local gentleman that had it in his garage. But man, it was original. It was clean. It might be an orange. It didn't have no flared fenders, and it has some. I think it probably had the same wheels and tires. I mean, it was pretty basic. But man, it was my first car, and it being a Porsche was totally awesome.
How did you convince him with $8,500 to sell you a 1971?
I smiled and played the little, hey, I'm a poor little kid. Please help me. It's my dream. Make my
Did
dreams
you bring your
come
piggy
true.
bank?
Yeah, I'm just telling.
I'm gonna hit it with the hammer now.
But he wanted more money for it. I can't remember what he asked for.
I was just going to say, you don't remember how much he was originally asking?
I don't. But I do know that he looked at me and said, "Okay, I'll take it." And I think he said something about, just please take care of it.
Oh, yeah.
One of those things like that was his baby, and maybe I'm not sure if he was the first owner or not the first owner. But it was definitely clean. And so I before I bought it, I actually needed a test drive it. So I asked one of my the manager of the packing shed at the time to test drive it for me because I couldn't drive manual. Right.
So what did
shift on the floor?
Was I forget it. Were they 5 speeds of 71 or is it a 4?
It was 5-speed.
It was a 5.
Yeah, 5-speed. 5-speed. So didn't have no experience driving manual. Had some experience, of course, with I started probably driving a couple of years before that. My dad's old station wagon, but no experience with manual. So my manager drove it, said it's good. So yeah, gave him the $8,500, and then I owned the car and had to learn how to drive stick.
So who taught you stick? Was it that same manager?
Yeah, the same guy. Yeah, same guy. I'm not sure how long it took or not. I don't remember, but before you know it, man, I'm having a blast.
So when did the mullet come into play?
Oh my God,
that mullet, man! I mean, look at that thing.
Back then, it worked, man. It worked.
My brother looked like Billy Ray Cyrus, so I totally get it.
Yeah, back then it was funny stuff, but yeah, we once I got it, I slowly started converting it to what I wanted it to look like, right? So painted it midnight blue, beautiful color. Flared the fenders, put the tail on, bought some nice rims for it. Just made it something, made it what I always wanted it to be as best as I could, and I slowly did that as I made money, so it didn't happen overnight. Of course, when I bought it, took all my money away, but as the years go by and I was saving, I would slowly do something. I started getting more into I wanted to get into contests. I wanted competition.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I had passion for back then was car stereos. So I started building my own car, speaker boxes and doing my own system, and I got pretty good at it. Back then, I started off buying my radio, my stereo stuff from like Radio Shack, right? Then I graduated to Circuit City. Remember Circuit City back then?
Yeah.
I know you might be too young for Circuit City.
I remember Circuit City. I do remember that. It's a gym now. I go to that one, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So and I would buy what I could afford at the time and just started building my own stuff, wiring my own stuff, building my own boxes, and got pretty good at it. Started entering different stereo contests. There was one back then, it was really popular, Benny's car show or something like that. But I used to enter them, and I started winning and just got really good at it. And then, I did that for actually mostly through my school years, and then took off to college. and took the car with me to college and had a couple of great years in in the LA area.
Oh shit!
My wife's here, so we're gonna pass that and move on to the next.
No, we'll skip it.
Move forward. We don't need to get into that part. So at this point, you got your dream car. You've done all the tricked out things with it.
Got the mullet.
Got the mullet.
Yeah, you guys love the mullet, don't you?
Well, first you got to say.
I think I had an earring too back then.
Well, here's how things go. First you save the money, then you get the car, then you get the mullet, then you get the babe. That's how it all falls in line.
Then you get the khakis.
Then you get the khakis. But you weren't done with the car yet at that point because, of course, the stereo stuff. But and there's a video of it. We're going to get it up there on our Facebook page where you did some other things to a Porsche that hadn't really. When you think of a Porsche, this is not the area you would take a Porsche.
Yeah. So after college, I came back, and I mean, I pretty much took the Porsche where I could. You know, I mean, it was beautiful the way it was, and I had the stereo was awesome and all that. But I wanted to continue doing competitions, and the stereo stuff I kind of did everything I possibly could there. So I started hanging out once I got back home. Livingston, there's a lot of people in a lot of Hispanics, and they were in the lowrider scene. So a lot of my friends started getting into the car shows, the lowrider car shows, and so I joined in. There was a car club. I can't remember the name of the car club now, but I joined their car club and just slowly converted my car more into the lowrider scene and bought me some spoked wheels, some triple gold Daytons, and started gold plating stuff. I started off, I mean, as I made money, I would gold plate, the fuel cap or gold plate the trim. And then I actually started gold plating my pieces of my motor too. Like, you open up the trunk and gold plate it.
I wonder if the old owner drove by it ever and like, this motherfucker.
So I slammed it, triple gold Daytons, all gold plated stuff, and I started entering contests, and I started winning. I mean, it was
that hydro.
I had like, it was all decked out. Like I said, the stereo. By then, I was so good at my stereo stuff. Like when you open up the trunk. Open the trunk, I had all my speakers all laid out with glass, plexiglass covers all over it.
Nice.
And it's all, hit a switch and the light all lit up. Mm-hmm. And I had one of the things that was pretty unique. I had an ice chest where actually in the front, you actually open up a lid and there'd be a whole bunch of drinks in there, beer or whatever you want to put in, or sodas, I guess. But so it was, people really really liked it, these car shows, right? You open it up and they all kind of digged it. But so anyways, I did that for a while, and then a couple my friends just had this crazy idea about putting hydraulics in my car. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna chop into my car and put hydraulics in it. But you know what? I was like, screw it. I think that was like the next step, right? So I let them do it. They one day in my garage, they brought out the grinders and the cutters and welders, and they just went at it. And I just sat back and just watched these guys just tear up my car.
What was going through your head when that was happening?
Oh man, I know. To me, I was always somebody that always wanted to continue to build and grow and this and that. So this was like, to me, I was going to be the first ever Porsche with hydraulics.
Right.
So to me, it's like, oh, screw it, let's do it. I was just concerned that I was going to lose, speed, drivability. I mean, that was, so that was my concern. Am I still going to be able to drive this car like I normally drive it? No. it lost.
But
that.
you could hit the 3-wheel
it
motion.
Lost that. But yeah, you hit down. Back then, it was cruising was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Cruising McHenry and Modesto, or Main Street in Merced. And man, you're cruising down Main Street, and you got, back then it was bumper to bumper cruising, right? I mean, people everywhere. You pull up, somebody pulls up next to you, and they're hitting their switches at a stop sign. All of a sudden, you hit yours. Man, you want to see some eyes wide open and people tripping out. Man, you got a Porsche with hydros, yeah. And even too, we got it to the point where it was hopping too. I mean, that's pretty crazy stuff. But so I continue entering into car shows, and my goal was to go to the Las Vegas Super Show, which is the biggest show back in those days. And I did won that show. At the same time, Lowrider Magazine heard about my car and got a hold of me.
Is that when you had started your own club though by now?
Yes, I started my own club, Players Car Club. That was
Was that also with a Z?
No, it was not. No, it was not. But I think there's a couple car clubs before that, but that was actually the one I started, and that's because I wanted to do more for the club scene. I wanted to do something to like help raise money for for me and my friends and try to do more. As you can see, I'm big in events and raising money and this and that. So
As your wife rolls her eyes.
I didn't roll them. I disagreed.
Yeah, well, an agreeing matter. Like
I've been doing that for all my life, I guess, back in school. But
well, but your family's kind of that way, though. Your family's really involved people, so it's kind of part of, from what I've got.
Yeah, my parents are really involved with the Portuguese community and the celebrations they do, the Holy Ghost celebrations and so forth. So yeah. So anyway, so once I won the Las Vegas Super Show, made Lowrider magazine, and they did a whole story and did a photo shoot in Atwater. It was time to give up that part of my life with the Porsche, and so I started converting it to my original dream, which is the poster that was on my car, my wall, which was a 930 slant nose. So then I had to get to a shop in Atwater, and they chopped the whole thing off. Of course, got all the hydraulics off, all that stuff off, and slanted the nose. I mean, it was crazy. If you ever Google the old, I'm not sure what year that was, but it was a 930 slant nose. Sorry, and it went from a blue to a beautiful red, and then before it was done, shit started happening.
Yeah, that's kind of course of people.
Then that's if you read my book, then things start going really bad.
Yes, of course. And if you want more on where things went from there with the Porsche saga, as we could call it, you definitely have to get Carlos's book, Knockin Doorz Down, available at KDD Media Company, or you can go to Amazon, get the hardback, paperback, and ebook there on Amazon by searching under the books for Knockin Doorz Down. And so, of course, kind of picking up from there, and as the book does, it takes through your period of addiction, your struggles, and getting into sobriety. And now let's jump forward to what the hell motivated you to just decide, I'm going to go into talk to Mike David at David's Racing in Modesto, let alone to pursue, NASCAR racing. Because, and people that hear 35, which is a great thing, and why the Knockin Doorz Down title it plays so perfectly into everything we're trying to convey with people. Is most people would go, you're crazy, or it's a waste of time. And no, for you it was a necessity.
Yeah, so this when I got back from college, when I came back from college, that was the early 90s, right? And so the story I just told you guys about the Porsche and the car shows and all that was the early 90s. And so from, I don't know, was it 93 or so to 2007, it was just my life on drugs, from going, being the worst, locking myself in the house for a full year, to binging back and forth over all those years. And, numerous arrests, numerous drug rehabs, lost a couple marriages, 2 kids I spent no time with. I mean, just a lot of stories in those 13 years that the book talks about, and my struggles and my desire to want to be clean and stay clean, because I would get clean for a period of time and just fall right back. And every single time I would get clean, I swear to God, to this day I can say this with all honesty, man, I told myself it would be the last time.
Yeah.
Last time. And so when I went to drug rehabs, I gave it 100%. I mean, 100%. I was there, focused, learning, and then I come back home and I'll be clean for a month, 6 months. I mean, it was just different periods of time, and I just go right back to it, and it just
was it just like out of boredom, or you just
number one reason is boredom. Number one reason is boredom, and I was the expert at making excuses.
Sure.
So a little argument with little or big, either way, with let's say my dad, right? The company, anything to do with the company, I would like storm out of there and like, fuck this shit, and I would take off and go find me some cocaine. Or a fight with the wife, argument with the wife, but it was just all bullshit. It was just excuses, reasons at the time. At the time, I thought it was legitimate reasons, right? This is bullshit. He's not fair. This is not fair. Whatever, And I would go do it, and I think most of the time, I probably told myself, I'll just do it this tonight, or I'll just do it this weekend.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. Was just do it this weekend, and I mean, I was 13 years. I lied to myself during this whole 13 years, even though I knew better than that. Like after a while, you think, especially when you've been clean for a long time. You say you have 6 months clean, you're like, man, I can just buy me a small little bag, do it, because I'm strong now. I can handle this. I'm tougher than the drug, right?
Yeah.
So, and it always carried on.
That never worked, right? Small bag.
Well, it might
the
go,
last line is the worst line.
Might go from one weekend, and then I might be okay. Then the next, but eventually,
Yeah.
it just said screw it. And then as soon as you start having a few days underneath your belt, and then you have a week, this and that. After a while, then it's like, you know what? Because I was someone when I was using, I didn't want to be. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't be home trying to and be lying to my wife and trying to hide it from my wife, because I was like, you know me, man, I'm on or off.
Yeah.
And so you think I'm hyper now, you think I have high energy now, picture me loaded up on cocaine. And so I just didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. Some people, you can do a little bit and hide it. And, to me, it was like, I want to party. I want to call kinds of people over. I want to have a good time. I don't want to be doing it. And like, if I can't be obvious or I can't have fun with it, then why am I doing it?
Yeah, it's that very common thread, and I can relate is, of course, in all addicts, we are liars. Our addiction does make us a liar, and we lie to no one more than ourselves. And I know for me, it was because, everybody in this room has drank with me, and most of the times I was pretty reasonable. And then lots of the times it's like, probably people going, oh, fuck, that guy needs some help.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. I'll be fine. I can sit here and have one gin and tonic, 12 later.
Yeah.
Well, let's go. Come on. Dude, it's 4 a.m. I know. And it just is. And it's such a part of that.
Yeah, so it was, it's addiction, right?
Yeah.
And so I was full blown addict. And so those, so I'm cruising through those 13 years, and when finally the night happened, I call it the night. It's one of the chapters in my book. When the night happened, the next morning I said, okay, I gotta change. This has to stop. I cannot do drugs ever again. And, but I, of course, probably said that 1,000 times prior to that, right? So I started thinking to myself, okay, well, what's the number one reason why I'm doing drugs? And Mikey, like you just said, boredom, right? So boredom is the number one. I knew that. Okay, I knew that. Work, I'm great at my job. Companies, I grew the company. Even though those 13 years I'm binging, I would get clean, go to work, elevate the company to a new level. Then I would take off, binge, and my father would have to come in, or my brother would come in and try to take care of the company and try to pick up where I left off. And I'd come back and then grow the company again. So the company was continuing to grow and being successful, but it wasn't enough, right? Because if it was enough, then I wouldn't be going back to drugs, right? It would give me enough purpose, enough reason to stay clean every day. Well, it wasn't happening. And so I said, okay, well, I know work's not enough. And then I had two, great wives. I got married twice. I divorced twice. So they're good women. Good. I had two daughters, one from each, and great children. I mean, that should have been enough.
Right.
But it wasn't, right? Because I binged soon after I got married with both. So the marriage wasn't enough. The kids weren't enough, even though I know it should be enough, and I should be I know I'm an asshole. And most people are like, wow, you're an asshole. Your kids weren't enough to keep you clean. Well, it is what it is, man. I'm not saying I would die for my kids, but for some reason it wasn't working. Like, it wasn't working, and I had to find something that made me stay clean, so I can be with my kids. That I can be a better husband and be a better boss at the company or whatever. So I quickly enrolled in college. I went to join Merced College, became a college student. Why? Well, because my college years, I left a year and a half into it.
Right.
So I never got my degree in college. So I thought, maybe I'll just finish up and get my degree. Plus, I started thinking, okay, what else can I do in college to keep me active? So I joined the water polo team. And then I also, what else I
didn't know
did?
you played water polo.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I joined the jazz. There was a jazz band.
I guess you played trumpet, right?
Trumpet. I played trumpet. My dad was big in the Portuguese community. He got us playing in the Portuguese marching band. So I grew up playing the trumpet. So I was like, I'll try that. So I'm in college, going to college classes. I actually took some business classes, which is kind of funny. I'm taking care of $1 million company, but I'm over there. But either way, I went to business classes, water polo and trumpet. So I did that for a semester, but I started getting bored of that too. I was like, I'm getting bored. And that's when I met Aysia. During that time, sort of,
I
right?
met you just before that.
Just before that, yeah. So there's a story with that too. But so Aysia's watching all that, right? You're seeing this happening and so forth, and she knows why. She knew a little bit about my past, right? About what was going on,
a bit, not that in depth of it.
Yeah.
Just kind of like a little bit surface conversations.
Yeah. So I started seeing myself getting bored with the college things. Like, okay, this is not gonna last. You know, this is not gonna last, right? So I'm 3 months clean or whatever it was, 4 months clean. So yeah, because that was September 2006 was the last time I used, September 2006. So by then it was like January 2007. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna something. I just could tell I had to go do something different, more different, bigger, something. And so then that's when something came to my mind. It's like, you know what? One of the things that I loved doing when I was young was going fast. I loved racing my Porsche down the street, around the corner, pulling up next to people and racing them. I knew that I loved to go fast. I loved to race. And I always thought to myself when I was a little kid, I'll be a great racer. But never thought that would be reality because first, we never had money growing up. So that wasn't an option. Plus, all my friends that I grew up with school had no one. I knew zero people that raced. Never went to a racetrack, never watched racing on TV even.
It still baffles me that it's like, I'm going to do that. Because for me, if I was in this situation, hey, Carlos, guess what? I'm joining your team. I just won the lotto. Because I've watched it all my life. That still baffles me. It's like, never watched it on TV, never went.
Yeah, but I thought I would still be good at it, though. Like, even though I knew I wanted to go I knew I wasn't afraid to go fast. I knew that I can handle a car because I used to literally try to take my car around corners and try to I thought I can handle driving a car, any type of car. So
the racetrack's kind of the place to do it.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. Finally do it somewhere where I'm supposed to be doing it.
And push it to the limits. You're not, and that's the thing with the car. You have to drive it at its edge.
Yeah. And so then, of course, if you live the drug life like I did, and like most people do, you're always living on the edge a little bit. And you're always, to me, when I was drugging, I would leave my house looking for, I hate to say it, trouble. I would leave the house. Sometimes I hate to say it, I would hope a cop would see me and chase me. That was kind of like my crazy thinking. But Mikey,
I see a cop, I'm like, shit.
But Mikey, let me tell you, after you get arrested a couple of times, you stop thinking that.
Yeah.
It was all, that's my thoughts before I got caught.
Those handcuffs hurt like a
They're
motherfucker.
Not fun. They're not fun. Trust me.
So I just thought to myself, you know what? I think racing might be the answer. And so I showed up to Modesto Racing David Products and talked to a gentleman named Mike David. And he asked me what kind of racing I wanted to do. I told him something like NASCAR. And he told me a little bit about it, talked to me a little about the different levels, and explained to me, that I would be racing the local level, which was called the Wellen series at the time. And he introduced me to somebody that had an old race car for sale, and I purposely bought something really old because I knew that I was probably not going to. Well, plus then back then I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have much money, but it was still, I knew that I was probably going to wreck it, or I needed something I could, bang up a little bit.
How quickly can we replace the fenders and the quarter panel? And the rear
so I bought a race car, showed up there I took a tractor trailer, a flatbed tractor trailer, and loaded up the race car, and showed up to I took it back to my company, took it to my shop there, and called a couple of my friends and asked them if they want to go racing with me, and here we are.
What track was the first track you went in?
Madera Speedway. It's the closest racetrack. Back then, Stockton 99, which is pretty close to us as well, but they were not open at the time. It was the closest track was Madera Speedway. It's a 3rd mile, and then it's about 45 minutes away. And also there was the Altamont, which I'm not sure if the Altamont opened up the next year or if it was that year or not. But the Altamont, which is closed now.
No, it was that year too. I remember.
So that's a really fun track as well. But it was Madera Speedway. Called my friends up. My friend said, "Man, you're crazy for doing this, but they knew why I was doing it, and they were 100% supportive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So at this point too, people, you don't realize if you simply just watch it on TV, you not have been around it, you don't know anything about the setup. I always love the line from Days of Thunder. There's nothing stock about a stock car. To set up a car, there's so many different things. You got your sway bars, your track bars, you got your stuff that you do with the toe on the front end of what you're doing to increase the steering and handling and all this stuff. So you guys show up there at this track, and knowing the guys that worked with you, I believe they didn't have any background either, right?
Yeah, nobody had no idea, and I can honestly say that when I went to go buy a race car, I thought it was just going to be a steering wheel and a gas pedal.
That's
and
still what I think, is it not?
I thought that's what I thought. That I had no idea about setups, like everything that Jason just talked about, how technical everything is, and how everything precise it needs to be fast. And then once you go out there, I mean, you're talking tenths of a second being from first to last. I mean, it's crazy, and so. We showed up there with no idea at all. We took to the track your basic tools, some screwdrivers, some wrenches, some whatever. We had no tools.
Somebody had some zip ties.
We had no hell yeah, zip ties and duct tape, man. We were ready to rock and roll, man. And we had absolutely no idea, and we just started learning. Like my friend Joe Cordero, he did know motors because he was a mechanic for a dealership, so he knew motors. And then another friend of mine, Frank Lucas, he's just mechanically inclined, like he knows mechanics and stuff. He builds stuff, so he was there as well to help us out. Brian Escobar, he went there. He was my spotter. Who else? I don't know if they had one guy just to clean. I mean, it was that. So we went there and pulled onto the track, and I swear to God, the first corner spun out. Okay, I can do this again. Went out there and spun out, and I was thinking I was spinning out because I just wasn't giving enough wheel input or too much wheel input. It was just because I was going too fast. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, more gas, the faster you're going to be, the better you're going to be. And I was, of course, trying to show off to everybody. I was like, look how fast I can be. And so I was going to the corner really fast thinking that was but it wasn't working. And then finally when I made the corner, I come out, I used to get on the gas so much, I used to freaking get loose and hit the wall, bam, and so it took a while to actually, I didn't figure it, to be honest, I didn't figure it out myself. I had to have other teams finally come up to me and say, Carlos, you're doing this all wrong, and started talking to my guys about stagger and sway bar and springs, and started talking to me about slowing down around the corners and the angle that you go in and making sure you're hitting the apex right and these things. And so that is when we finally started learning racing, and that's when it started becoming fun. And then that's when we finally got, thank God that happened, because race day was, this was January and first race was in March. And so when race day came, I felt I was ready.
Yeah, and how did you do with the first race?
I blew it big time. I blew it big time. I was such a wreck that they black flagged me, and who doesn't know what that means basically get your ass off the track, because you are causing a mess.
And that's not permanently, right? That's just for the one race.
Just that one race. That one race. But it's embarrassing, man. When you go out there, when you're out there and you're spinning out every lap. Yeah. I mean, seriously, you take the green, the green, and you go and you spin out by yourself. Nobody's around you. Yeah. And you're spinning out. It's I'm my wife. Love you, darling.
Yeah, but you know what?
That's your rock.
But she knows where we went, where we were, and where we are now. We can laugh about it because
hey, buddy, I watched you a lot too. It wasn't the first couple of years, but I watched too.
It was embarrassing. It was straight out embarrassing, and it was an embarrassing thing for me. It was embarrassing for the team. And now,
but you guys were having fun.
No, not right there in the beginning. No, when you're spinning out.
I think I can show you a picture where you have half of a car left, and you guys have big ass smiles on your faces.
But before that day, I got black flag for spinning out. I think the next race, I broke the car. Like I used to have a problem coming out of the corners, and I used to be on the throttle so much, and my back end used to. hit the wall so bad that my whole rear end would like shift over, you know? Yeah. And so I don't know how many black flags I had. It's probably a good few. And, you know, and the wrecks and you know, just doing things that stopped me from finishing a race. When we finally did take a checkered flag, it was so exciting, so exciting. I'm talking about, we had no fenders, we had no door panels, we absolutely had nothing. But you should see this picture we have with my team, right? Yeah, that's the one Aysia's talking about.
Aysia, get us a copy so people can see this on the social media.
I was actually thinking,
but kudos to you for sticking with it. I mean, getting black flagged multiple times, spin all that shit, like that could be really discouraging. To where you could just say, you know what, fuck this, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Stuck with it, so good. That's awesome.
And they kept allowing me back to the track, which is kind of nice.
It's like getting kicked out of a bar. It's like, but back at school.
when you get it, or even sometimes I think, you know, some people may have would just say, "Oh, screw this," because man, I mean, you spin out, you start getting booed.
Yeah.
I mean, you get booed. Fans will boo you off, you know, and it's like, oh man, am I cut off for this? Can I really do this? But there is not one time ever I told myself I wasn't going to continue. Not one single time. And so I'm just so happy my friends stuck with me, and we got that first checkered flag, got that first picture, and then and things just got better from there. Because once you learn how to do, like once you get there and you do it once, then you start learning how to do it again and again and again. And so it just became easier and easier as time went by.
It takes me back to two things. A couple episodes back, I think it was an intro for David Siegel, we talked about the importance of failure in life in general towards success, and a lot of people, and how we can be so hard on ourselves. And the other thing that it helps me is to think about it for people going through recovery is we have to really humble ourselves. You know, I think back about like Brandon Novak talking about when he got clean. Here's a guy on Viva La Bam and Jackass, the movies, MTV. He became a waiter just after getting clean. And for you, the humbling experience was this thing where it's like, I'm this guy that's pushed all these limits, and it's like,
dishwasher.
This fucking car is kicking my ass, but you're not going to let it. It's humbling.
Right. No, for sure. And I mean, you really think about what I was pretty much like, why not, or I have to. I had that attitude where I know what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know, so what can be worse than that, or you know, I don't know. It was just something that something told me there's no way in the world I'm going to quit, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I think deep down inside, I knew I would eventually get it. I mean, I was always an athlete growing up. You know, I didn't know anything about mechanics or you know, setting up cars and so forth. But just being an athlete means I love competition. I love winning. I love doing well. I love, you know what I'm saying? So that drives me. And so I just kept at it. And a couple of years later, I won my first race, and which was a total blast as well.
Yeah.
And here I'm at, still at it.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I don't recall if it went out on social media or where I read it. I remember, congrats on the first one, sending you a text, because it was cool. And it's for anybody out there that's really listening or hearing Carlos's story is, and you enter your sobriety or whatever your adversity is don't give up. You are going to have setbacks, and it's all a part of those necessary failures in the learning process.
Right.
You know?
And I also think one of the messages too that I hope that people get from this conversation we're having, but also from my book too, is if you want change, long lasting change, sometimes you have to do something against what other people might think, or you know, something you might be afraid of, or you just have to figure it out yourself. I got a lot of people that come to me over the years and say, Carlos, you know, I got a friend that's, you know, addicted to drugs, or a kid that's addicted to drugs, or whatever. You got any advice, or what can I do? And I said, you know, you really can't do anything until that person's ready. Because once that person's ready, and if that person's truly ready, then they're going to find what they need for themselves, because everybody's different. They're going to find out what they need for themselves to be clean. You know, some people need to go to the 12-step program. That's what they need to do every day. Hey, I applaud them. Good for you. Mm-hmm. I could never do that. I tried it. I you know, some people told me I need to go get a sponsor and this and that. Just wasn't my thing. You know, my thing was racing, and I can't say it was only racing, because soon after I started racing, right when I started racing, is when, you know, I created the brand 5150 and started my foundation. So I think all three together has helped me stay clean over all these years, and at the same time help people along the way.
Yeah. Well, and that's what thing is about, is a purposeful life. Aysia, what was it like for you then coming into Carlos's life right around the time? Because, you know, I mean, well, you guys have been together, but just had your 10th anniversary, or is it 11th?
Ninth wedding, but I met him in 2006. So I met him before the night. But when it came to racing, he was like, hey, I think I'm going to buy a race car. I want to start racing. And I'm like, okay. And then like not too long later, he's like, hey, I bought a race car. I'm like, whoa, someone's actually doing what they're going to say they're going to do. And it just kind of went from there.
Was that new for a man to tell you something and then them actually do it? Because we're pretty full of shit.
Yeah, I think so. Like, he's been a person that I've met
I
that
told about 4 girls I was buying a race car.
Yeah, he's always been that person that when he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
So, no matter how crazy it may be, he's going to do it.
Well, we're sitting right here in this studio.
Now when I say that, she's all, great, now what? I said, hey, babe, come here, I got an idea. Oh, shit, now what?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you guys go skydiving like on your second date or first date?
I think it was the first time.
I remember hearing that. You were just talking about it the fucking next day, skydiving.
Yeah, no, we were out to dinner with friends, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, skydiving, that's crazy. I can sit on my couch watching someone do it, and it gives me a thrill. He's like, cool, let's go. Then we were, but the first weekend that I was here, he took me on the Hayabusa, and we were going 185, and I was on the back.
Oh, shit.
So...
Oh. She liked to go fast too, though. So it's
yeah, I'm aware of this.
So she likes more racing. She's been there like all the races pretty much.
I think that I missed one and you won.
Oh yeah, one of the ones I won. Yes, she was there. But we grew up. In fact, I think we even went to your mom. Took your mom skydiving.
Yeah, my mom
right?
went skydiving.
Yeah.
She didn't bring her ID like I told her to, so she had to use
She's a little
mine.
crazier
So
than
the
you guys
whole
think. She's
video,
pretty
they're
crazy.
like, "Go Aysia, go!"
My grandma's friend just went skydiving. She's 87, 88. She went skydiving for her birthday. And I personally don't see the point of jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. But if that's something somebody wants to do to get a thrill, like, more power to you. But fuck, I could never do that.
I think it's necessary. Look at that. We got the picture here that showing us of the car just torn the hell apart. Oh, shit. That's too awesome. So, of course, in the book also, Carlos, you do touch on the importance of the 5150, the number, the brand, and everything else, and, of course, the background on that, which people can go and find the background of it and where that really came to your head. But, you know, what is it for you guys, you know, Aysia, yourself, and what, not just 5150, the foundation, and what it means for you? Because people don't realize that the first opportunity to do charity came about because of the racing.
You asking her or you asking me?
Well, we'll start with you.
So if you get a chance to pick up the book and read the chapter called The Night, it talks about, you know, when the thought came to me of creating the brand 5150. And so once I created the brand 5150, that gave me the reason, or gave me the answer I needed from a number for my car, right? Number 51, and then also the logo that you see in all the different products that you buy that are 5150. But also, once we show up to the racetrack, we were approached by Valley Children's Hospital, and our race team raised more money than any other race team, and so we donated that money. And I saw an opportunity there to utilize team. Back then we were called Team 5150, right? It was Carlos Vieira Racing Team 5150. So I looked at the opportunity to use Team 5150 to raise money by doing different fundraisers and donating it to different organizations. So we did that at first, and then soon after that, we decided to launch our own campaign called Race for Autism. And so that was in 2009. I raced that year almost, I think it was 35, 36 races.
Crazy.
I raced almost every weekend.
Yeah.
I decked out my car with puzzle pieces, and we were known as, you know, Team 5150, the team that raises money to help families with autism. So that's when I decided to start my nonprofit, the Carlos Vieira Foundation. And so yeah, here we are years later we got 3 campaigns now: Race for Autism, Race to be Drug Free, and Race to End the Stigma.
Yeah, which we spoke about heavily last month during Mental Health Awareness Month. Aysia, what is it that, for you that it's meant in doing this as part of it? You are a little bit, you're kind of a more take aback in that you're not a spotlight kind of person, but you are an incredibly hardworking person, such an integral part of the foundation. And what has it meant to you that this came about,
For me, it's just kind of been life. You know what I mean? Like we've always talked about just taking things one day at a time. So for me, it's just always just been one step after the other, and it's grown to what it is. I think after reading the book too, it has a different meaning as well, just knowing like that true meaning as to where it came from.
Yeah. So a couple of things that Aysia just mentioned. So first of all, she's being really humble, because I'm telling you, every time I started something, she has been a huge part of getting it off the ground. You know what I'm saying? So no matter if it was the foundation, for example, the apparel company, the 51FIFTY apparel company, the vodka, or it could be the podcast, or it could be whatever. I mean, anytime I start something, she is right there to help me get it off the ground. And when once it's going smoothly, we kind of try to get other people to take over and go from there. But she's being really, really humble about that, for sure. I wanted to say something else too, but then I caught up on that. So,
Mikey, you got anything else?
I want to hear what you were going to say.
Well, she was saying something else though. And
the 51FIFTY.
Oh, the meaning behind it.
Behind it.
Now that I know the true story.
I was going to say that, because when once again the chapter called The Night.
Read that chapter. It's fucking heavy.
Yeah.
It's
so and other stories too. My wife Aysia, God bless her. She, during my whole years of, when I first met her, let's go back here to when we first met her and she came to come see me. I picked her up at the airport. We're driving back. We stopped at Cattleman's restaurant there in was it Pleasanton?
Livermore, Pleasanton.
Livermore, whatever. So one thing I didn't mention earlier, one of the changes that I decided to do in September of 2006, when I said, after that night happened, I said, you know what? For me to make sure that I am thinking straight, and that I'm going to stay clean, I promised myself I'm going to go 1 year with no substance at all. And so back then I was a smoker, right? I was a drinker, right? So I told 1 year I'm going to do no drinking, I'm going to do no smoking, and of course no drugs. So it was complete cleanliness, clean. So man, I knew I was going to be bored as hell, right? So
sure.
Anyway, so then you guys know the rest of the story, right? But anyway, so I picked up her at the airport. We're driving back, and we stopped at Kettleman's, and so we're there. And first thing I said when she sat down, because we actually sat, I think, at the bar area, right?
Yeah, like a high top.
Because all kind of in that same area, right? And so I said, "Babe, I got to tell you something." She's like, "I think now."
I was like, "Dear Lord, please don't tell me you're married."
I said, "Hey, I don't drink." And she just kind of said, "Oh, okay," and it was kind of continued on. I thought for sure she might ask me about, hey, how long you been drinking? Sure. What's that about? Blah blah. She just blew right past that and then moved on. And so, over all these years, she never really dug into any of my past. I told her, she knew that I had a heavy drug, past, and I was addicted, and she knew she knew about a lot of the stuff, but not the stories. And so, this book talks a lot of stories that she never heard of, and so she. I told her I was writing this book, and I asked her if she wanted me to kind of share some of what it was going to be about. She said, "You know what? I don't need to know anything. If there's something you need to do, for yourself, go ahead. I'm good." And she just let me do it, and I thought that was pretty cool, because I think some people would be like, "Oh, how is this going to embarrass me, or how is this going to affect our relationship, and this and that?" But she was 100% supportive of that, and the story about the night, the chapter, the part about the night. No one knew. No, I not one soul knows the true reasons of all of this. How did I, or why did I create all this? Everything we've been talking about today, and why did I start racing, and why did I create the things I did? Was because of that night, and not even my wife, or no one knew. And so I just want to say I love you. Thank you for that. It's awesome that she's done that over the years for me.
Yeah. You lucked out there, my friend. You lucked out, I gotta say. Well, Mr. Naraki, you got anything else?
Yes, one more thing.
Go for it.
You ever still want to race cars when you see it at a red light? Just out and about off the track? You ever get the whole urge when you were younger?
So Aysia was just talking about my Hayabusa. I own a Hayabusa. I own a Harley. I own a fairly new turbo Porsche. I mean, it's and honestly, I never really ride the bikes anymore. My Porsche is parked there. I don't use
that breaks my fucking heart.
I don't use it a lot, not because I don't love bikes. I don't love the Porsche, but that my thrill, is at the track now. I take care of that urge to go fast and to the competition and all that. I do it at the track.
The weekends that we do have free now to ride the bikes and stuff like that, not anymore. We're at the track.
Well,
so
yeah, that too. But it's I know. I think more and more now. I got my F-250 that I love cruising around. I'm cruising around in.
The speed's kind of good.
But now he's still gotten his speeding tickets here and there.
Well, I've been a lot, but yeah, I used to file my speeding tickets. And I used to. I swear to God, I used to file them. It was so bad. But now thinking about that Porsche, baby, we gotta dust that thing off. It's been a couple months.
Yeah, would you do it at least for me, please? Yeah, because I was gonna say, you did have that Audi and that had that Lambo engine in that. So
I love that car.
I know that thing had some get up and go. I do recall.
But I think my I don't drive. You're joking around a little bit, but my speed on the freeways is not like it used to be, right? Remember, I used to.
No, you said that you did that. You never did that with me, and I thank the Lord because I would not be able to stay in that car.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I got car sick.
I got some. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it was before her, but
so
yeah,
you leave it on the track. You leave it on the track.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Mikey's an urge to go racing or something with me. What are you trying to say?
As long as you're driving, I'm not an aggressive driver.
If you got him in that Porsche, he would be leaving some stains in his shorts, my friend.
I'm an aggressive driver to an extent where, like, I lived in Los Angeles at one point. You can't be a wuss driver there. You have to be aggressive in that. So I'm aggressive in that sense. But when I'm like on a freeway by myself and it's an open, I have gnarly road rage for sure. I'm not denying that. I have crazy road rage. I will scream at the top of my lungs.
I know that old lady that we went by the other day. She was frightened.
She had it coming. I didn't tell her to fucking pull in front of me at 45. It's not my problem. Get the hell out of the way. Anyways.
Carlos, I would like you to be able to, wrap it up for us. Is just the importance of maybe, and the encouragement to anyone out there, especially, and I think it could translate to someone of any kind of trauma and addiction. The importance of something that is maybe outwardly selfish, but it's internally, it's intrinsically become something that has become so selfless for you. The racing's really brought so many opportunities that it started as simple as going out, doing it, not giving up. Had you have given up, there would have never been the day where the Children's Hospital came about and said, hey, we want to raise money. And then once you saw money being raised, it's like, we can do this all the time. So what kind of words of encouragement can you lend to people to find something purposeful that is for them, and there is nothing wrong with that?
Yeah, well, I think it's first is be honest with yourself. You really have to be honest with yourself and not try to pretend that you're something that you're not. You have to look deep down inside and say, what am I good at? What am I not good at? What's true, what's not true, and be okay with that. Be okay with who you are. Find out the things that you need to work on. Find your weaknesses and try to find things that can keep you focused and keep you driven. And I'm very ambitious. I know that I have to continue to grow and do something and see and make change, and so I don't try to pretend different. So every day I wake up and what more can I do and more what can I do, and that's why, like I said, God bless Aysia, because she's perfect for me, because she just kind of goes along with that, Yeah. And she don't fight it because she understands it, and but at the end it makes me I'm better for it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm better for it because I'm around. And the most important thing to me, and one of the things I realized 14 years ago, I've been 14 years clean now, is that the best thing I can do for all the people that love me, that are around me, is for me to be around. So for being around, that means I have to go racing, even though some people don't like me to go race. Being around means that I have to do all, start new companies or donate my time for the foundation or whatever it is. It's what I have to do. And if you love me, you support me. If you don't, well, then I rather, it's best you stop be around, because this is what I need to do to stay clean, and this is what I'm going to continue to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Miss Aysia, for coming in.
You're welcome.
Always a pleasure. Carlos, my brother.
Brother man, what's up?
Thank you very much for sharing.
Man.
And, of course,
Thanks.
everybody, don't forget, you can get the book Knockin Doorz Down at kddmediacompany.com, or go to Amazon, get the paperback, get the hardcover, or the ebook there as well.